Panda, I know you just mentioned this on an upcoming future show that we are going to be airing in the coming weeks, but I wanted both you, Jeff, and Derek to just talk briefly, we'll say like a minute each, about your experience with the person who I think in the Disney Vacation Club space is the more famous than any of us. You all think we are famous. We are famous on a very small level compared to this person. And Panda, you just had an entire date night with Mary Littig the other day, and she's amazing.
She really is. I mean, listen, you go out with somebody and you have a day and you would come back on a video like this and you would say, yeah, I had a good time, because someone else you're going to say. But no, I'm telling you, it's extra special. She is a wonderful person. Her personality just exudes warmness. She's quick. She's funny. I feel like I knew her forever, and I cannot wait to spend more time with her. In the theater watching Wicked, at the end, we are like hands clasped, tissues. It's just I can't wait to be around her again. She's just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. And Derek, I know you're having breakfast with her, but you and Jeff had dinner the other night, and tell us what happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jeff can kind of jump in. We were having dinner over at Flying Fish, meeting up with a couple of members, the Berman family, and it was a party of about eight. It was a party about 8 of us over at Flying Fish, and it was to celebrate Stephanie's birthday. We were walking into the restaurant, right? We sat down at our beautiful table of 8, very, very excited for dinner. We get settled. Waiter comes around, pours water. Then all of a sudden, Amy and my wife, Annie, both shout out, "What, Jeff?"
Mary! It's Mary! She was sitting directly, like, we couldn't have been any closer. Like, if we could have had room, we'd have just had her pull up a chair, because she was literally right there having dinner.
Yeah.
And everybody, of course, then at our table, we all jump up, run over there to go take pictures with her. The people that were sitting next to her after we all were done fawning over her and giving her hugs, the people next to her literally turned and go, "Are you someone famous that I should know who you are?"
Yeah, to Panda's point,
yeah,
she is a walking version of pixie dust. Like, you cannot help but smile when she's around. The cast members love her. Anybody that meets her love her. Anybody that's talking in line. And if you don't believe us, go and read her posts, because she talks about every single point of her day, which is amazing. But the cast members want to know where she got her outfits, and she makes them herself. And like, she is just Disney personified, and the nicest person you'll ever meet.
And she does not know a stranger. Like, she's just so friendly to everybody.
All this
and
to
shout out to Stephanie Lerman, who I just met. Love that lady too.
All this to say, Mary, we love you, and we love the happiness you bring to our entire little DVC community. So thank you.
And we're sad we missed dinner the other night.
Yeah.
We had to move.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show. I am your host, Paul Krieger, joined by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger, in our new home, even though it looks very similar. Someday it'll look different once we actually have the downstairs room that we're going to film these shows in ready. But we've got John Scary, Big Fat Panda, with us.
Good. Welcome home, everyone. The dog, by the way, looks so comfy. Look at the dog's face.
Where's he at? Is he?
And so they all still have their harnesses on, because our fence, we both waiting for HOA approval and just getting on the fence schedule, which they're out like a month. So we're taking them out here.
This guy's got a dog in the background too. Senior sales associate for the DVC resale market, Derek DeBoer.
Aww.
Hey now, and that's Luna. Say hi, Luna.
Look at her. Oh my goodness.
And then Jeff Haslam he had his dogs in between some.
They're just too loud. I love them, but they're just too loud. But I want to bring to a point, and I know I do this every 3 months, but Panda's got a Lego set back there that still hasn't been built. That's just absolutely killing me.
I think I need to give it to you to build it for me to return it.
It doesn't travel.
Or
well.
you just, or just, all right, you know what? You're going to come over and help me with it. I'm going to put it together. I promise.
So it is back there on that shelf back there. It did travel with our move, but there were several pieces that fell off, and our friends Jeff and Dan were over the other day. Jeff and I were putting up ceiling fans, and I feel like Jeff and Dan were here for moral support. And and I gave Jeff the project. Jeff's a huge Lego fan, and so I gave him the project of finding where these spare pieces went. And he figured it out, you know. He found them. I couldn't for the life of me figure out where these two or three random parts went. But so it has a lean to it though. We're trying to determine whether or not the lean is supposed to be like that, or if there's maybe some structural integrity. It doesn't look like the box behind you, Panda. Let's put it that way.
That's true.
Well, mine's right here. Does it look like that?
Yours is leaning the other direction.
All right then.
So,
and Jeff, what happened to the finger guns?
Talk with Jeff and Paul.
To each their own.
Did Jeff retire the finger guns? I haven't seen them in the last 2 shows, and I'm kind of sad.
Sorry. No, they're not retired. They're just unloaded.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for joining us for our ramblings as always. We know some of you love it and some of you don't, and I've actually started putting in like little like breaks in the videos and stuff that go out. So it's like,
so you can
here's our intro ramblings, and here's if you want to skip us and get right to the meat and potatoes of the show. This week we are actually going with a topic that was sent over to me by Michael Batchelor, and I thought this was a good one in terms of just kind of looking at Disney Vacation Club as a whole and what it has allowed us to do and what it has not. And so the things I would never have done if I did not buy DVC. And I think each of us have kind of maybe 2 or 3 different things that we came up with. But I think that being Disney Vacation Club members has really allowed us to do more things, both with Disney and beyond. And so that will be kind of our topic for tonight. As always, this and all of our content is brought to you by the world of DVC, DVC Resale Market. If you are looking to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract, the agents over there can assist in that process. Monera Financial, if you're looking to help finance that DVC resale contract purchase, they have some amazing rates and can assist with that. And then the DVC Rental Store, where you can try before you buy. You can rent some points for a fraction of the cost as compared to direct Disney pricing, or if you want some extra cash in your pocket, you can rent out your own DVC points. So as always, please show some love for our sponsors, and a quick plug as always for Patreon, patreon.com/DVC fan, where we just keep recording through when we do all of these shows, and little snippets of our ramblings in between shows end up on Patreon occasionally. So there you have it. Come join us. Come join our little Patreon.
I always seem to forget that. And so I should probably bring like a bar of soap to wash my mouth out sometimes.
And yet that's what people really want to see on Patreon. We posted, I think it was from like 2 or 3 rounds of shows ago when we had just gotten the Cake Bake Shop pricing for all of the different things out there. And we went on a rampage in between shows just talking about the price of soup and all kinds of other different things. And there was maybe some words that probably shouldn't have been said, but the prevailing comment on Patreon back to this video is like, this is why I subscribe. We need more of this content. So there you go. That's what you're looking for. Head over to Patreon. That's what we got for you. But enough of our plugs. I am going to kick off this week. I feel like I don't do this that much in terms of going first when we kind of go around the room. But the first thing that came to mind, and I think it speaks for both Amy and I on this topic, is things I would never have done, which is be in this position, have this job, work for DVC Rental Store, be able to be a part of this DVC fan community. And that is what being a Disney Vacation Club member has brought to our family more than anything.
No, that was deep. I wasn't expecting all that.
Well, it's true.
Like life-altering stuff.
But the timing of it all is like very relevant for us. We would not be in this house like that we just moved into a week ago. technically like 4 days ago, but we would not be in this house if not for this community, for DVC fan and in its infancy, taking off, for people actually just wanting to be a part of it, and then for it continuing to grow and provide Amy and I both with some amazing job opportunities. And so, yeah, I knew I was going to go deep to start things off, but it's truthfully like it's the biggest thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
okay.
Yeah. I mean, you said it. No, obviously, you know, I love what I do. We both love what we do. And one of the coolest things is that we get to talk about something and help people, you know, of the community with something that we are passionate about as well, you know, something that we truly love.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool, really cool.
All right, Panda, I went too deep with the first one, so bring us down a notch, apparently.
All right, I'll bring it down. I'll give you my deep one later. My Christmas parties. It's Christmas time now. I don't think I'd go to the Christmas party or Jollywood as often as I have done in the past few years because of DVC. I don't like at the end of the night or being at the party and just looking forward to the parking lot when everybody's coming out and driving home. You know, it's only a half hour, but there's something very special about just going back to the Riviera, going back on the monorail to the Bay Lake Tower. I would never have done that had it not been for the
Did you do both parties this year or just Jollywood?
I did just Jollywood this year. Last year I did both. Next year I might even do both again.
Yeah, but you loved
that. I loved it. Oh, I love Jollywood too. Yeah, Jollywood's growing on me even better every time I go.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And this is my third or fourth Jollywood.
That's a lot in 2 years. I've only had it for 2 years.
But I will. And if it was DVC definitely did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll agree with you there too, which is that it is the one event that we wish we had time to do this year.
We missed it. Yeah.
Between our schedule and everything else going on, it's just wasn't going to happen. We knew it, but it was like we had so much fun at that event last year.
It was great.
And it looks like they've just plussed it up even more this year. So.
Which I would hope next year the same. I think it's growing in popularity. I think it was doing pretty good this year. So I'm hoping next year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Derek, give us something that you would have never done if not for Disney Vacation Club.
I thought this was a great topic. And so today, before we started filming, oh God, it looks like I'm frozen. Frozen?
It was kind of funny.
A bit of a robot at the moment, but it's recovering. It's recovering.
My favorite part is I get to use DVC IT. You can tell. So when I told Annie, my wife, and said, "Hey, so these are the topics for the show," and it was, how would your life be different, or how has DVC changed your life? It's funny when you mentioned that, Paul, because that was the very first thing that she said to me. She goes, "You wouldn't have the job that you've had for literally like the last 20 years." And I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Think about it." And then I thought about it and I went, you know what? You're right. Like, yes, I was the Disney cast member in Chicago, but I was working in the marketing department. I had zero direct sales experience. So when a friend of mine said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to open up the first ever DVC preview center right outside Chicago. You could be a salesperson. You could be a sales guide. You could sell Disney Vacation Club." I was like, well, God, I don't have any direct, quote unquote, sales experience. I never sold cars, or I never sold appliances, or I never sold any of that stuff. And they go, "Yeah, but you love your Disney Vacation Club membership so much. I mean, my God, it's like breathing for you, talking about how much you love it and what it's meant to you and your family." And I was like, you know what? I think you're right. So I did. So I reached out to them and I scheduled an interview, and the lady was asking me, what do you love about Disney Vacation Club, or take me through a typical trip. And it wasn't like a normal job interview where like you're nervous about it. It was just like someone asked me literally, "What do you love about Disney?" God, and I went through the whole story of landing at the, Orlando airport and taking the monorail and pulling into the boardwalk for the first time. And they say, "Welcome home." And I was just painting this picture, just kind of telling her this. And then she literally said, "Okay, you're hired." So that's how it was. And that's when I realized and said, you know what, this job has never been a quote unquote, sales job for me. I never look at it like that. I don't want to sound corny. I don't want to sound cheesy, but I look at it like I've been able to do for almost 20 years, is just being able to talk to families and literally help them vacation better. So I think for me, I would never be in the position that I'm in to work directly for Disney. And now for the last 6-7 years, be able to work here at the DVC resale market, helping folks buy and sell, and working with an amazing community like yourself, being able to do shows like this. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a member like I bought back in 1999. So I'm so glad I was a crazy 20-something-year-old that bought this, and thought I was in way over my head when I bought it. But that's
I have to ask, was it Vicky Lynn that interviewed you? So
actually it was the trainer whose name was April. So she's the one who trains all the Disney vacation guides. She's literally a Disney legend of all time. She sat at the table and we had the whole conversation, and she told me afterwards, she's like, she met a lot of people, but she had like some special move that she did where it would notify Vicky, like, okay, you got to come and meet this person. So apparently not everyone got the special notification, but I got the special, which is then when Vicky came in and we hit it off, and she was our director for 5 years there at Disney's Doorway to Dreams, and then on the cruise team and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just crazy that when I look at it like a product that I loved at the time, I didn't buy it going, someday I'm gonna sell this stuff. I wanted to, because I remember meeting our Disney Vacation Club guy Dave McCain for the first time when we bought it, and I remember meeting him and how he talked to us and how he treated us with just such respect and such knowledge, and I loved it. I remember thinking, and I told Annie, I'm like, that dude's got the best job in the whole entire world. And then, many years later, I wound up being able to do it too. So Paul,
that's awesome.
That's not going deep at all.
So side story related to Derek. So Vicky Lynn, now she is more of a speaker, right? She does
she'll do
like leadership
retreats, leadership academies
and stuff like that. Yeah, and she's amazing also. So we got to experience her 2 years in a row, actually, at our management summit. And then she was also she spoke at our main retreat day, but she told us the story of Derek. And basically what she said was, they kind of notified me that I got to meet this guy. And she's like, and I don't want to meet him. He has no sales experience. Like, why do I have to, and then she's like, but then I met him and I had to hire him. Like I could not, I had to have him on the team. So it was just funny. And the way she told it was really funny, and how she was kind of like, no, I don't want to meet him. He doesn't have any sales.
So funny.
That's awesome. Jeff, give us something that you would have never have done if you didn't buy DVC.
I'm gonna go deep again for my first one too, and I wouldn't have met you guys. And I'm not trying to be cheesy and emotional at Christmas time and all that stuff, but I look back on the last 2 years. DVC's done a lot of things for me as far as travel and Disney and those kinds of things, but I literally met Derek because he sold me a contract, and we went to lunch one day, and I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I knew he was my people. Paul and Amy, we had extra tickets to a Moonlight Magic that was just kind of like they put out there, hey, does anybody have any extra tickets? And I said, yeah, I've got a couple. And we ended up meeting and hanging up the whole night, and it led to this friendship. And Jeff and Dan, Panda, same thing. I would have never been here. And we would have probably not moved to Florida because I think it would have been too scary to not come down here and have, I want to get emotional, and not have a safety net of people that I could rely on. We've moved here and I have never looked back. You know what I mean? So,
Jeff, I never see you get emotional. This is very special.
Well, you don't know me very well.
No, I have at the Give Kids the World event.
Somebody when we met to Boardwalk the other night, Derek and I think it was the Richie guy, says, you guys really do hang out outside of the show. Paul and I spent 9 hours hanging ceiling fans. I don't do that for people I just kind of think are okay. You know what I mean? Like, Panda, we've been to dinner. Derek, we've been to dinner. You guys are my core friends down here, and I'm just so thankful for it.
Yeah, I love how real we all are. I spoke on that on another recent show that'll go up pretty soon. But I do
meet a lot of people that are surprised, Paul, about our relationship. They're like, "Really? Are you really friends?" You're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I mean, we hang out every spare moment that we're not doing this. We're hanging out doing things like, like Jeff said. Jeff and I spent a long time hanging ceiling fans, having some fall off the ceiling. That only happened with one, but yeah, we did that. You were up here when we were on moving day, making sure our appliances got delivered. So, and then both of us broke our backs moving you into a new house. I mean, it's just that's what friends do for each other, and it's amazing.
I just want to make it clear that Panda and I are available to go to the parks and go to dinner, but for moving,
Well,
See you like Vans Derek.
I moved. That Paul hired movers, to be clear. Like
that is very true. It was like 3/4 of the way through that day when it was like, yeah, I can't do this with my stuff too. It's not going to happen.
Derek also made it very clear earlier today that he has no ceiling fan experience. He's like, how do you know how to put ceiling fans up? How did you learn?
There's no fan.
It's a blank canvas.
You know what friends to rely on for what, and when you need what friends in your life. So, but yeah, it's awesome that we're all there together for each other. Amy, do you want to go deep, or do you want to?
No, I like everything you guys said, and now I feel like a sap because I didn't think of any of these things. I was thinking more like,
yeah, you criticized me. You criticized me at the top of the show for it.
But no,
I didn't go deep because you said bring it down, so I didn't go deep yet.
I know. Well, and then I'll let Panda go deep. I'm not going to go that deep. I'm very thankful for you guys, for the community, for our jobs, like all that. One thing that I think has really, really changed for us with becoming DVC members is just slowing down and taking time to just really appreciate and not feel like we have to rush through the parks. Because before, we would come once every 3 or 4 years. So we didn't really get to visit very often. So when we did, it was marathon, it was a whole week of park day after park day after park day, trying to ride everything that's there, because you never know when you're going to be back.
Exactly.
So really getting to just slow down. And since you guys got sappy, I'm going to say one thing that we never would have been able to do, and that is share Disney with people that we love. We took both of our moms to Disney for a week when we first got DVC, stayed at Jumbo House. My mom said, this is the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. And I just remember when the night that we saw Happily Ever After, and my mom is very short. She's like 4'11". So I told Paul, I was like, I want to be really close to the castle. I know you miss out on some of the fireworks, but I want my mom to be able to see it. I don't want her looking over like a shoulder kid or trying to watch it through someone's phone because she's so short. So we got a spot right up front, and I just remember the look on my mom's face, like just pure amazement, during the whole show. Like she was just like, wow, like, and I just like teared up when I looked over at her. That I got to bring her and she got to experience that, and so that's definitely something that we never would have been able to do.
You never came to Disney as a kid. It was
no, I didn't.
Was that her first time?
That was so. No, remember
we took
that trip in 2011, but we was more like a Florida trip, right? Yeah. And Paul was there with my family, and we only went to Disney once, and we split our time between Epcot and Magic Kingdom, and it was like the surface of the sun outside, so. We didn't really get to do a whole lot. It was very hot. We didn't know what we were doing. It was paper fast passes. I think we rode like 2 things that whole day. So the first real Disney trip for me wasn't until I was, late 20s, when we went to Port Orleans and we actually stayed. And that to me was my mom's first real Disney trip, when we took her to Jumbo House and we stayed for, a whole week, and we did 1 day in each park. And, we had lots of dining reservations, and we had all of our fast passes, and they got the ride. I mean, my mom, I'll never forget her riding Flight of Passage, and she yells over, like, she goes, Paul, I'm flying. Like, like just the excitement. And we actually took her back on that. She didn't get to ride that again until like a couple months ago when we brought her back to Animal Kingdom. But just experiencing that. Yeah. Cause I didn't go when I was a kid. We went to the beach. My grandfather had some timeshares out there, but yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, and I'm just going to echo that because my parents just left. They were here for Thanksgiving, and it was really fun. We've been to Disneyland a bunch of times. My parents took us to Disneyland every couple of years, but my parents had never been here, and they picked a bad week to come. It was Thanksgiving. Go watch the show that just got put up this week if you want to see it. But I don't know if you can even see this or not. Probably not.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I see it.
My dad has never been so happy as he was on
Tron.
And for me to experience that with him was remarkable because he just kept, and we did a lot of things. We went to Disney Springs one night. We parked Hop on Monday. We did the Christmas party. We had Thanksgiving dinner at, Ale and Compass. And he said it over and over again. I can't believe how big this place is. I can't believe how many people they move around. I can't believe how many restaurants, how many hotels. He wants to come back and golf and stay on property. And that is so unusual for him. I'm like, Dad, there's people that come here that don't even go to the parks. Mm-hmm. They're probably in the minority, but there's a significant group of our membership that do that.
Yeah.
And he just shook his head. He couldn't believe it. And it is so fun. I would have never done that with all of my other friends that have come to town. I would have never sprung for their hotel room. Come stay with me in this 2-bedroom. No, you're on your own. But it's so much fun to be an ambassador for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an important message too to a lot of families. I know, especially over like DVC rental store, I speak to a lot of members who say, I bought this for my kids and for us to enjoy, but they just don't enjoy it anymore. And I think a good message to those people is give it time. You bought this for many, many years of magic. And like anyone, you're going to kind of ride the waves of, whether or not you like the rides, whether or not you love Disney, that kind of stuff. But they then grow to learn to appreciate it again, or it becomes valuable in a different way for you and your family. I mean, Derek, and you've got 2 kids, one that's in high school, one that's in college. And I'm sure that you probably rode that wave a little bit in terms of just the love for Disney versus probably why you go to Vero Beach so much for some of those vacations.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because you're talking about families that will say, yeah, you know what, I think we need to sell, or no, I don't think we want to join DVC. And I'm like, wow, you're so perfect. You've been here like 3-4 times already. You're going to come back. Yeah, but my kids are kind of in that like teenage phase. They're kind of too cool for Disney. And I always have to stop them and just kind of slow them down and say, listen, those teenagers eventually, knock on wood, they're going to get married one day. And they're going to get married one day. And what happens a lot of time is maybe they'll have a family. And guess what happens when you have kids? You wind up back at Disney. So it's this circle that Disney Vacation Club will always change with you, right? So whether you're going to use it, okay, maybe you have a year or two where maybe you're not, but you're going to be back, and the fact that the membership that you used to use, say, staying in studios, is now able to have you bring your kids and maybe your grandkids for the very first time, be able to do that. You're not going to want to go spend, money on 3, hopefully adjoining hotel rooms. So to have something like this is just key. And I'm just going to jump in to my other one, which is probably deeper than the first one, but I think it's important because it kind of segues perfect, Paul, to kind of what you're talking about with family and whatnot, is what things I've been able to do. I don't know if I would have without my Disney Vacation Club, and it may sound completely silly, but it's having a family. And I say this is that because when my wife and I got married at Disney in 1996, we of course got married at the Wedding Pavilion. We waited a bunch of years to try to start a family because that's, what you think you do. You're like, oh, it's going to be easy. Yeah, let's just get pregnant and let's, have a baby. Getting pregnant was the easy part. So that was great. We were very, very excited. We're having a son, but some complications happened pretty far along in the pregnancy. And we lost our baby. And it was devastating for us because it was about 20 weeks into the pregnancy. We were obviously extremely, extremely upset and distraught. And we kind of looked at each other, really, and had deep conversations of like, we got to get out of here. Like, we need a vacation. And we knew we, of course, had our Disney Vacation Club membership that we bought in 1999. But we were like, I don't want to go to Disney right now just because I don't want to be, kind of surrounded by kids and with families and babies and all that stuff. It was still kind of pretty fresh. Well, at the time in our membership, we had something that was called the Concierge Collection. And we looked at it and we found this place in Maui. It was called the Kapalua Bay Hotel. We had never been to Hawaii before. We were able to get an amazing room for 7 nights and some great airfare. And we used our Disney Vacation Club membership for that. And it was truly everything that we needed. We couldn't have asked for anything more. It was relaxing and it was spiritual and it was just fantastic. And 10 months later, we had our son Owen. So I always joke with people, my DVC, my kids are not a direct benefit of having membership per se, but we truly feel that I don't know if that time in our life that we know we needed to get away. I think if we had to, try to plan out a trip and how much was it going to cost or how much is this or that, we just used our membership for it. So I think it's, important for people to, have that mindset that when you have this membership, what it allows you to do is not just go on vacation when things are perfect and things are happy and things are hunky-dory and I can't wait to take my annual trip because we go every time, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes the times you need to get away the most are the times when things suck and you're, in an emotional downfall and things are not good. But to be able to have something like this, I know it absolutely changed the course of my life and my family's life and my kids' lives. So, yeah. All right. That I promise that's as deep as I'm getting today.
God, you guys are
Oh
killing
my
me today.
gosh.
Panda, just keep this rolling. I know you kept the big deep one.
I can't get over that whole thing. Derek, it's funny. We just see you and Annie so happy now. We don't even think that there were any things that you went through. That's great. Back to family. I mean, I see like in February, I'm going to Old Key West. I have a 2-bedroom booked and it's my extended big Italian nieces and nephews that are coming with their kids. And I get to, be the hero that gives them that. That would not happen if I was paying cash for it. I wouldn't have the cash for it. I would look at the price tag and go, no, I can't do it. But because of DVC, I can. And we're looking forward to this February trip. Also, just being local and being able to do these 2-night trips. It feels like you're going all the time. Every 2 months, there's a 2-night trip coming up. It's great. I have another one, but I'll save it for when we go back around the room. But the whole family thing and being able to feel like you're providing your family with some fun, excitement stuff is a great feeling.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. I'll lighten us up a little bit and say something that I think is very important to we love food. Let's put it that way. I love food. We love eating. And I'm already thinking about what we're going to eat after this show. But I think that Disney Vacation Club has allowed us to experience a lot of restaurants that we wouldn't have otherwise ever gone to because to your point earlier, Amy, we come back here when we're vacationing so often, and you don't know when your next trip's going to be before you were a DVC member. I mean, there was a significant gap from even the time that we, came down here and spent 4 days and stayed at Port Orleans to when we actually came back and did a giant trip at Coronado Springs. There was a significant gap in period of time between those, and so when you come back, you're like, oh yeah, I want to go to the same 4 or 5 restaurants that I loved that trip because you have memories from them. But, being here more often, you kind of reach outside of that comfort zone. And I'll say sometimes you strike out, it's terrible and you wish you had not done that. But a lot of other times you get to experience a restaurant that kind of surprises you in some way, shape or form. So that's kind of one thing that I had on my list. I did want to go back before we go back around the room again. Michael had a couple that he sent over as just some ideas, some things that were important to him. I think one that kind of just hits to a lot of what we've said tonight is just staying at my home resort, just being able to experience that home resort, being able to experience the welcome home moment and actually being a Disney Vacation Club member. So even in he kind of, harnessed that sense of community, that sense of family that is so important to this membership that would never be provided without it. Some other smaller ones, Derek, he had on here visit Hawaii. So visiting Hawaii, going to Aulani was a big one for him. Visiting the boardwalk. Yeah, he had drawing Judy Hopps, so doing kind of the animation academy, to the point of slowing down a little bit and getting to do that, enjoying special experiences like the Starlight Safari, Caring with Giants experience, doing some of those little kind of extras.
Yeah. So one that I think of a lot, because when we first visited Disneyland, I thought there's no way that we can ever stay on property at Disneyland. We're always going to be doing good neighbor hotels, off-property hotels, because on property is so expensive. And I remember you and I had a trip. It was like an early December trip where we did Disneyland and Disney World together. We still lived in West Virginia at the time. And we stayed at, I think it was the Hilton, which ended up being terrible. The Anaheim Hilton. Oh my goodness. We stayed at the Anaheim Marriott and it was great before that. But yeah, this was not a great hotel. The Hilton was pretty rough shape. And I remember trying to think that maybe I could surprise you with a night at the time, it was Paradise Pier. Yeah. Now it's Pixar Pier. And I just remember looking up and I was like, oh my goodness, a night at this place is like $400 or $500. I was like, I just can't. We'll have to stay at the Hilton. And that's it. And we did. But, because of DVC now, we've stayed at Grand Cal. We've stayed at Disneyland Hotel. We're going back to Grand Cal next year. So it's just so cool. It's something that I never imagined being able to do. So
yeah, I had Disneyland on my list as one as well. Just going to Disneyland in general. I know we did go and stay on cash, but also just being able to go more often and experience that more often is something that we probably. I think after we went the first time, we were like, we need to do this every 3 to 5 years. And now it's like every other year we have to get our Disneyland fix in some capacity. So
yeah, I remember the first time you told me we were going. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was Pixar Fest.
Yeah, and we were so excited.
We spent most of that summer kind of saying, it's Pixar Fest. There's this special Wall-E, blah, blah, blah. Because I love Wall-E, obviously. But there were all these things that they were doing, and Pixar is just, I think, something very, very special to us, and we were just tearing ourselves apart watching the Pixar Fest coverage out there. And finally one day I was like, I'm figuring it out. I'm finding a way to get us out there for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. I think we ended up getting someone gave us some points, some airline points, and that helped us to get over there because at the time, I was a teacher, so I made dirt.
It was early in our career. So.
Right.
Jeff, what's something else on your list of things you would have never done?
My second one is kind of in the same vein that you guys are talking about, but I'm kind of a completionist. Anybody that knows me, I like to check the box. I want to go to all the Disney parks worldwide. I want to stay at all the Disney hotel. I want to go to all the national parks. I want to go on all the cruise lines. That's just kind of the way I am. I like to have that complete. I would have never stayed as many places as I have without Disney Vacation Club. We were very much all-star people, and we just started getting into a financial position where moderates every once in a while we could do. So we'd crossed off Port Orleans, both French Quarter and Riverside, Coronado, and we were about to check off Caribbean Beach, which, fun fact about Jeff, it's the only Disney resort I've never stayed at.
Oh my.
Because we were about to go there, and then I joined the club, and suddenly deluxe was accessible to us. And in the course of 2 years, we've crossed them all off except the Disneyland Hotel, which we're doing in June. So,
oh yeah.
So that, I would have never been able to afford Aulani. We went to Hawaii a lot because there's a lot of nonstop flights from Salt Lake where we used to live. And so Hawaii was not unusual for me. I've been 5 or 6 times, but Aulani, definitely, I'm not paying $600 and $700 and $800 a night for anywhere, so to be able to do that in such a short time was, was really, really cool for me.
That's awesome.
Panda, what's another one on your list?
All right. So I was working for this show, me being here. I was working at the Diz, and once a month, Amy and Paul would come in. I think I'm telling you the truth.
No,
Once a month,
yeah, I
Amy
know.
and Paul would come in, and it was like a breath of fresh air. Where I was like, "Are these people really as nice and just decent as they seem?" And as slowly as I made friends with them, and then Derek would come in, and I would say, "Wow, all these people, these DVC people, I'd love to remain connected." And so what was nice was being able to continue this relationship with you guys, because I felt like this was the light at the tunnel of this thing. So yeah, that really, the DVC, and I didn't own at the time that I was producing the show for you guys. It was work, and listening to you, all of you, sold me, and I'm so glad I did, and then got to be again back up to be a part of this. So
I loved watching you become a fan of DVC through that. That's something. It's
for you and Amy a lot.
Yeah, well, and it's like people say with Disney, and to our point earlier, seeing Disney through the eyes of others. Jeff, you seeing it through your dad when he was here recently. Amy, when your mom was here, and so for us, it's the same thing with Disney Vacation Club. Like Panda, we got to see it through your eyes and watch someone who has known about this product for a long time finally actually consider it and make the leap. But I will say that it was never unnoticed how excited you were to see us, and the feeling was mutual from day one, because it was you were the bright light in the room, and
see, I felt that about you too. I absolutely felt that about you too.
So what's funny to me as somebody that bought DVC watching the very show that you guys are talking about, because I wasn't part of any of that. Like I came way later, right? But it was because of what you guys are talking about that I bought, even though I didn't know you guys at all. I'd never met a single one of you at that point when I bought my contracts. And you guys have a lot of influence on people in a very, very positive way, all four of you, that I don't think should be taken with a grain of salt, because it's pretty impressive what you guys have built here, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Nothing can prove that more than Amy Krieger selling Red Baron pizzas.
Exactly. Do you know people actually congratulated us, thinking that I was like, no, we didn't really get them, and it wasn't $1 million ad campaign or anything.
No, I can't even get them to return an email. I've sent an email to them just saying, hey, you should watch our show. We talk about Red Baron pizza a lot. That's all I've really said. Nothing. No, not a word.
What's funny is you think about this community and what catches on. Derek stealing lamps, and Old Key Jeff, and Red Baron pizzas, and it just blows my mind what Jimmy Buffett said. You never know
Soggy in the lobby,
and soggy in the lobby. You never know what the public's going to buy, and that is true, because we're just doing this. Most of this is off the cuff. There's no script here, right?
Nope.
We're just, and what people latch onto is just really hilarious and heartwarming and hilarious again.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great too. Like, I send you guys, normally it's the day or two before we do a round of recordings. I send you 2 or 3 topics with maybe 2 or 3 bullet points each. As you said, Jeff, there's not really a script to what we do. And I think that just speaks to, what the show has evolved to, which is that it's a conversation. We want to see where this conversation goes. None of us sitting in this room tonight can say that we probably expected tonight's topic and conversation to go where it's gone. I'm sure specifically Michael, who suggested it, is probably going, this is not necessarily what I had in mind.
We'll get to that. My next one's more in his line of.
Okay. But to that point, but it's real conversation, and it's real conversations that families are having, that, couples are having. And these are real life things that happen on a day-to-day basis that shouldn't be ignored, that our members go through. A lot of what I went through earlier this year with my mom, and we just had an amazing time at Thanksgiving. She was here visiting, and she was here with her new dog, Reba, and we got to experience that together. But we all go through ups and downs, and the community is what keeps us together. And that is the gift that Disney Vacation Club has brought to all of us that, none of us will ever be able to repay. So here we are just rambling to you. We'll share our thoughts with you. You may love some of them. You may hate most of them. I have no idea, but we're here because we love it. We love what we do and share.
On the topic of your mom, we took her to Vero Beach in August.
Yeah.
And like, what a great just getting away, like getting beach time with her.
Like
turtles. Yeah. And that's something, oh my gosh. And we saw turtles hatching right in front of us. Something we would never, without DVC, we would never done that.
Yeah. Just I remember my mom telling me, hey, I need a beach. I need that beach time. It's that happy place for her. And I was like, perfect. I've got the exact place to take you. And we went to Vero Beach for, I think it was 3 nights and had an amazing trip. And so it provided us with that experience. So I feel like the list could go on and on for days. Jeff, you said you had another one to.
Yeah. And this one's quick. So, I would have never got to do all of the extracurricular things. And part of that has to do with the show and covering things, that people know. But like, I would have never scuba dived at Epcot had I not been DVC because it was too expensive. But when your room's free, it opens up those funds to do other things. I've scuba dived at Epcot. I've gone to the Christmas parties, the Halloween parties. I've done the behind the scenes tours, the VIP tours, all these things that were nowhere near on my list of things to do. DVC opened that up even before we moved here, because once again, when your room is covered and you have an annual pass, suddenly when you come, this trip got a lot less expensive than it used to. And now living locally and doing the show with you guys, there's even more opportunities to do that. I try to sell people all the time on the fact that, your trip is going to change, and what's the word I'm looking for? Your routine. Sometimes that's hard for people to give up the spreadsheets and the 7 o'clock in the morning planning for the lightning lanes and the Genie Pluses and those kinds of things. But it actually changes for the better because it becomes a much more relaxing, or you can still hit it hard if you want to, but it's doing things that you normally wouldn't get to do. Like the behind the scenes at Living with the Land. Like I would have never done that. Yeah. But I don't know. I can't talk about it enough because it really has opened up some really fun, different opportunity.
Yeah.
It almost allows you to enjoy your vacation too and not come back from it just being completely drained and exhausted. Like, I mean, Amy and I we did a Mediterranean cruise not too long ago, and it was an amazing trip. Like I would do it again in a heartbeat. But we went from sunup to sundown every single day, because when you go on some of these adventures and you do some of these things, again, you don't know when you're going to go back, if you ever get back to that place. And so you just want to do it all and do everything. And so Jeff, like we've done the same thing. I remember doing the behind the scenes tour that like, there's some picture out there with me with like the headset on that you took of me, and I'm just smiling because I'm just like, this is awesome. And it only cost it was very cheap. Like it was like $30 or something like that at the time, I think. So very, very affordable. Derek, what's something else that maybe made your list of things you've never done?
Yeah, well, I just want to tell Jeff, apparently the good news is that Disney Direct watched this show and they just gave the special signal. So Jeff, you're in. So in case you want to be a direct guide, you're all set. Because that Jeff, I mean, truly, like you summed it up perfect. I mean, that is what it's all about. It's just people know that you're coming back. You know what I mean? So you might have a trip one time where you're like, hey, we're going to stay at the Poly this time. It's going to be a Magic Kingdom heavy trip. And then, no, let's not really do Epcot or the studios, because when we're going to come back, we're going to stay over at the Boardwalk, or we're going to stay at the Beach Club. So you know you're coming back, which is huge. And speaking of coming back, the thing that I know I never would have done if I did not have my Disney Vacation Club, Paul, you touched on it. 2 words, Vero Beach. Vero Beach. That's it. For anybody that's watching this show
I feel like I have to apologize before you go further, because I didn't even realize I did it, but I did steal it. Derek sent us a message last night and said, if any of you say the word Vero Beach before I do.
Me. I said it.
I'm sorry, so Derek. Funny, please continue.
We told you folks there's no script. We don't know where this is going to go. So Yeah, so no, this is as light as it can get. It's Vero Beach. So if you haven't been, it's a couple hours away from Disney. But if I didn't have this membership, I never would have gone. Because again, you think of Florida, Vero Beach is not a place that necessarily says, "Oh my God, we got to go to Florida. We got to go to that Vero Beach place." No, you're thinking of the bigger, more well-known places with the big high-rise resorts. But for me, ever since I experienced it during my vacation guide training, all the way back in 2006 or 2007, when my son was, 2 or 3 years old for the first time, there has not been a year that we have not gone back to Disney's Vero Beach Resort. It is a place that my kids have grown up. We've always kind of called it our, Disney beach house that we own. We don't own a beach house, but we own points that we like to use at 7 months or less to stay on the beach. So we go to Vero Beach, try to at least a couple times a year. We're coming up, going, I think, a week from this week. So I'm not sure when this show is going to air, but we're going to be there for 4 nights. And again, it's our time to just unplug. There's no parks, there's no rides, there's no lightning lanes, there's none of that stuff. It's just going to be the 4 of us just enjoying playing shuffleboard and endless games of mini golf and looking at the beach saying, where do you want to walk today? Do you want to go to the right? Do you want to go to the left? Sitting around and just soaking up each other's company. So for me, my life changed because that resort will always hold an incredibly special place in my heart. And I promise you, anybody out there that has never been, be prepared, because once you go once, it will be impossible for you not to try to go back again. So Vero, I love you. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want, sometimes you'll see a celebrity out and about and it kind of is a weird juxtaposition because you see Brad Pitt at Kroger. You know what I mean? Like, has that ever happened to anybody?
I've never seen Brad Pitt at Kroger. No.
I saw Brad Pitt in Hollywood once at a grocery store. It was wild, but, does anybody just want to run into Derek at Vero Beach and just see him kind of out of what we know? See
right.
His element out there. I think it would sitting there playing Monopoly with old people.
Jeff, I searched for it when we did the Vero Beach show, and I'll have to search for it again. I have a video of this actually that Derek sent to me. I don't know if he remembers he sent it to me, but it was 2 or 3 years ago, and he was on the beach wearing a hoodie. And let's just say he was in his element. That's all I'm going to say about it, because it was one of the. I don't know why I did not save that video, but I need to go back through the archives and find it. But
there's almost every trip I will run into some of our fantastic community members. So whether they'll see me on the beach or whether they'll even email me after, hey, I saw you chilling on the beach with your kids, but I didn't want to bother you or whatnot. But I love running into people at Vero because we're all there for the same reason, to slap on our hoodie and chill.
Yeah.
I saw you at the beach, but I didn't want to come up to you because I didn't want to be that close to your Speedo.
Amy, did anything else make your list of?
Oh my goodness! If it did, I lost it. I had something and I completely forgot.
Any last thoughts from any of us here? I think we've covered, a lot of the hard hitting ones, but also a lot of some lighter topics as well. And it's been a good, well-rounded conversation. I think the big takeaway is how much Disney Vacation Club brings to the table by being a member. So don't dismiss it if it's something that you're considering. Sit down with your family, crunch the numbers, talk to a guide, talk to someone else. Email one of us, info@dvcfan.com. Feel free to send an email there. If you want it to get to one of these individuals, I will make sure that it gets routed to one of them, or we will respond personally, because we do love to kind of share our thoughts and kind of just share our experience with people. Maybe you're having a question, maybe you're considering 2 different resorts, whatever that situation might be, again. And also that's a great thing for the DVC fan Facebook community. That's where there's so many people that can give you so much insight, so many educated people, a lot of people that have crunched these numbers better than any of us have ever crunched these numbers, with spreadsheets galore that have shared their spreadsheets and have asked all of these questions. And so it's an amazing community to be a part of as well. Derek spoke to when this show might be going up, so just a quick update on scheduling. So this show is going up, and on Wednesday of this week, we are having a special live stream from the Polynesian Island Tower. So please make sure to tune in on YouTube. Be sure to get the alert, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you do get those notifications when we do go live. But we will be doing that live stream from the Polynesian Island Tower to celebrate the grand opening and give you all of our thoughts of that. We will then be taking a much deserved week off to celebrate the holidays, and so there will be no DVC show the week of Christmas, but we will come back to you then on December 30th with our year in review show, which kind of wraps up the year for us, and then we'll hit the ground running with 2025, and we're so excited with so much new content that we've been talking about and that we want to do in the new year. Continue bringing you more videos, continuing bringing you more education opportunities, and sharing with you everything about this product that we love, and that we are all members of and are all proud of. So that will do it, I think, for this week's episode of the DVC show. We hope you enjoyed it, and as always, well, we won't see you next Monday. We'll see you Wednesday, and then we'll see you the Monday after that. So see you later, everybody.
Happy holidays.